Magandang hapon mga Summoners and welcome back dito sa 2018 LoL Varsity League Spring Term. Of course, we'll be heading into Game 6 between iAcademy Game Changers versus University of Diliman Oblation Esports. Pero bago pa natin pag-usapan yung pangyayari kanina tsaka yung papasukin nating game ngayon, syempre pakilala muna kami bilang casters here for today. I'm Arctic at your service fam at syempre kasama ko ngayon si Chisto.
Yeah, and nakarami na tayong laro ngayon, Arctic. Nandito pa lang tayo sa pang-anim na game for today and marami pang susunod dito. Mag-debut pa yung Bulacan State University mamaya, but let's go ahead and talk about kung ano yung nangyari sa UPD during their previous game. Unfortunately for them, they weren't able to come out and best MCL Warlocks during that game, and I think from start to finish, MCL just were ahead of that game, and UPD weren't able to set anything up, unfortunately. Hopefully, this game against IAC, kaya na nilang mag-set up early game and maybe transition into that more macro-oriented style na alam natin kayang-kaya laruin ng Oblation Esports.
And we're looking at a scenario where ito yung pinag-usapan namin ni Vulcan na it's basically the battle of the teams na nasa yung mga nag-tied for third. Yeah. Ay, tied for fifth pala rather.
Tied for fifth.
So, it's interesting kasi kung titingnan mo yung pagkakasunod-sunod ng games natin, talagang from yung nag-open is yung mga nasa top tapos we're kind of transitioning from match for match for match. Parang level per level tayo. And I think, I gotta give kudos to the commissioner kasi it's actually a smart way to sort things out kasi dito natin nag-gotch kung from the top sino yung na-maintain yung consistency nila or kung sino yung may potential na baka mag-falter towards the bottom, and from yung mga nasa bottom sino yung nagpakita ng improvement and could potentially climb their way to the TPD top.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about maintaining consistency from the top. I mean, UST still showing why they are the defending champions. FIT, binanggit natin earlier today na sila ngayon is the most improved teams and they came out today 2-0. So, maybe this time, UPD can maybe separate themselves from that tie that we mentioned from last term. But yeah, going into this game, iAcademy, they're coming back here, and I do believe Import is coming back into the roster. And they actually also changed top laners. So, maybe for their first game today, kaya nilang magpakitang gilas laban dito sa Oblation Esports.
And you know what's interesting is for both these teams kasi yun nga, we managed to talk to the players prior sa start ng LVL. Ito actually yung time na kung napanood yung simula ng every game natin, yung medyo super astig na intro vid natin. Yun yung araw rin na na-interview natin sila. And both these teams medyo inspired sa naging support staff nila na instead na ma-pressure sila syempre na maganda yung backing nila, they're kind of looking at it as a challenge na okay, mas lalo tayo dapat mag-perform. Pero tingnan natin kung that'll actually materialize as we head into the drafting phase. Once again, UPD versus IAC, let's go.
Yeah, and fun fact lang para sa mga nanonood, kahit na hindi masyadong lumabas nung unang game na super good tong si Naga at si Device, nakakalaro ko sila in solo queue. Whenever I play rank, I usually run into the UPD players, and what I can tell you, they're really, really good. It's just, kailangan nila na setup to get to that point. And we've talked about Kai'Sa throughout the day where if you're playing on red side, you usually don't leave this open unless meron kayong ready na counter. UPD, tingnan mo, nakita nilang open yung Kai'Sa. Instantly, they jump on that pick. Now, iAcademy Game Changers have locked in the Morgana, possibly going to the support role, still can be flexed. They've also picked up the Ornn here. What will UPD use to respond? Karma is what they're currently thinking about.
Yes, and of course with this Karma, a little bit more flexibility here with this pick. Kanina nga, yung Karma ni-utilize ng UP Diliman in the mid lane, but this goes to say na this time around could be a little bit of mind games being played to keep the Game Changers on their feet. Looks like they'll be wrapping up this composition by going for their jungler na, which actually di pa napipili ng Oblation Esports yung kanila. So it looks like they wanted to make sure that they get that before maybe potentially banning out junglers for themselves.
Yeah, iAcademy would want to deny junglers here. Now looking at what they have banned, I do believe Device can still opt to pick either a Gragas or a Sejuani into the Zac. Both are decent matchups into that. Jindo being hovered here by Academy Gamers, it is locked in now. UPD lack a jungler. I mentioned the Sejuani, it is there. Now, once they do lock in their last pick, dun malalaman natin kung saan pupunta itong Karma na napili na earlier during the picking phase.
And
okay. This makes more sense. This makes a lot of sense really, so that they can instantly follow up. Kapag pinili nga mag-engage nung Sejuani, andun yung follow-up CC na kayang dalhin ng Alistar with his headbutt pulverized combo. And with the Alistar locked in, that means that Naga will be playing that Karma in the mid lane against The answer, though, from My Academy Game Changers is the victor here to match the push coming from Karma. So, decent drafts here from both teams. Going really meta, going really standard here. Nothing out of the ordinary.
I'm wondering, though, since UPD Liman was pretty much open to take the Kaisa, if I Academy Game Changers, I wonder if this was something that they left out on purpose with the mindset na they have something up their sleeve that could potentially counter this, because yun nga, it's been pretty dominant throughout the day so far na teams, majority of which always banned or when picked pretty much a dominant force in the games that she was played here in the LVL. So let's see what I Academy has in mind here.
Yeah, I mean, I Academy, they're gonna want to build momentum on this because gaya ng sinabi natin, last term, both of these teams, not entirely the best performance. And for the new term, they want to have a fresh start. Gusto nilang i-separate yung team nila from the bottom half of the LVL team. So, if you're UPD, you're coming off of a loss, let's try to bounce back. If you're IAC, okay, if we drop this game, we still have a game later today, maybe we can go on there. But yeah, for both these teams, they want to get wins.
But I mean, with these wins though, I think it's not just about raking it up, because heading into this first day, I think it's a great way to also build that momentum, build that morale. Although may mga cases naman ng teams na, yun nga, itong FUIT na patuloy natin sinasabi na had probably, out of all the teams, didn't have the best start nung previous term nila. Managed to make that climb, but still, there are other teams naman na with a bad start, not able to quite recover it. So, but then again, like I mentioned, nandun nga naman yung support staff ng both sides. So hopefully that does have some bearing, but you could only go so far with that. Siyempre, it's really up to the players pa rin once they head on to their, whether they could execute plays on the strategy on paper.
Yeah, and so far throughout the day, Arctic, I mean, nung ginagawa natin yung prep for the cast, we talked about our expectations for all of the teams coming into this term. And UPD and I, we didn't have the highest of expectations from them, but maybe after we see how they perform today, they can maybe impress us and show us more for the upcoming weeks.
So there you have it, guys. We have both sides, rosters, compositions are locked in. Let us know kung ano yung thoughts nyo, kung sino ang gusto nyong masuportahan dito. Let us know in the comment section. University of the Philippines, Diliman ba ang inyong sinusuportahan? Siyempre, hashtag UPDWin or hashtag MCLWin para hashtag IACWin para naman sa I Academy. Two of these teams coming out from the bottom, tied for 5th. Let's see who can make that climb with a fresh start in the 2018 spring term. Let's go.
Yeah, wag kayong magtaka, guys. We'll get that fixed very, very soon. We're sorry for that, but looks like UPD will be going for an invade just to lay down extra vision, which I think sobrang importante, especially playing against the Zac. Yun yung isa sa keys na ginawa ng MCL earlier laban dito sa UPD. They were able to track where the Zac of device would go so that they were able to avoid the gank pressure that Zac can provide for his team. And I think importante na gawin yun ng UPD for this game. Try to shut down the Zac.
But with these two junglers here, because when I recall this Zac from the previous game, wasn't really able to push as much for UPD Liman, and medyo it's a bit of a shame because amidst si Davis trying to look for opportunities, like the most that he got out was a summoner spell expended, but other than that, yung talagang walang significant value na nakapag-push ng UPD Liman into a lead, which allowed MCL to capitalize on that kasi Olaf yung nagamit na kanina. So just continue to take camps, clear out all the camps from his side, tapos take a few from Davis's own side. But this time around, it's a little bit of a different dynamic because both junglers here, a little bit more on the tankier side, could go for potential sets. So I think I'm wondering who could have that leg up, who could be a better influence pagdating sa pag-spearhead ng key carries nila sa game na to.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see, Arctic. I mean, I think Zac as a jungler, I got that mixed up there. But Zac as a jungler, normally his gank priority raises once he hits level 5. Dun talaga nalalagay lahat ng points into Elastic Slingshot, and that's when he can really threaten a gank in a lane outside of vision. Whereas the Sejuani can go for stuff earlier with her stun, but really raises in priority once she hits level 6, has that Glacial Prison, can easily set up crowd control for the rest of his team to follow up on and possibly get some kills here.
Okay, so we've been talking about how Kaisa has been quite a dominant force internationally, and come here in our local LVL, it's been something that the other teams have picked up on as well with good reason. But, I mean, given these circumstances, Chisto, na nabubuksan yung Kai'Sa, syempre na-auto-lock yan na kapag gusto talagang kunin ng blue side, unless there's those rare instances na hindi na pick up agad ng marksman. But so far from what I see here, a lot of the teams have already picked up on that. Siguro inaabuso pa sa rank maybe. I mean, why not? Because there's a reason why certain champions are in the meta. But faced in these certain scenarios, like what marksman would you ideally want to put into a matchup facing a Kai'Sa?
Normally pick something that has a lot of range to try and match her. Caitlyn comes to mind. Jhin could be a good matchup in lane, but outside of lane, especially in extended team fights, the Kai'Sa will just do way more damage than the Jhin. Unless, of course, if the Jhin does get ahead. In lane, though, this is a decent matchup into the Kai'Sa. But so far, Kai'Sa's undefeated day for all of our teams that have picked him up. So maybe we'll get to follow the trend, or maybe IAC can pull off an upset here.
Yeah, because for Yo-chan, in which case, I mean, he didn't have the best game earlier, without a doubt. So hopefully,
I mean, not just Yo-chan.
Actually,
UPD didn't have the best.
Everybody across the board didn't really have the best KDA towards the end of the game. So hopefully this time around, kasi some of us have been rationalizing as yung first game jitters. Pero
I mean, it's not that UPD were playing bad their last game. I think MCL played absolutely beautiful during that last game. They were really setting up properly as bot lane. Nice deny.
Yeah, looks like there won't be any set coming in from Syzygy right there. Oro just gonna manage to walk that out. But meanwhile, it looks like Yo has other plans. Gonna go for the last 6 shot. A little bit into short. That was a tad bit anticlimactic there.
Okay, nabitin yung Zac dun. Not the best way to go for your first gank of the game. I mean, the Alistar combo was down. All he had to do was hold E on his keyboard and he would have reached the backline, but unlucky right there for Hio.
It happens. It happens.
It happens. It happens to the best of us.
Maybe, at least, I guess from that, maybe we could say that he's...
Pero sana hindi on camera, no?
Yeah, just not in these particular instances, guys. Take note. But maybe eager heading into this game. At least that's a good mindset to have. Maybe.
I mean, we talked about first game jitters. Unang game to ng taon na to for IAC.
True.
Maybe that could be a thing. Pero babalik na naman siya. Ito, tingnan natin. Abot pa siya.
Take two. There you go. Redemption right there. But Syzygy gonna boop him out of there. Yo does get the pull in back on that Mad Cow. Yo-chan gonna be dishing out quite a bit of damage to make sure that IAC can go full commit on that, and they will back away.
Okay, at least this time umabot siya. Kaso na headbutt siya kagad. Unfortunately, the gank really doesn't amount to much. No summoner spells burn, just a bit of mana traded back and forth really, but more aggression in the bot lane. Ignite!
That's gonna be take two right there. Seeing Oro didn't have the mana to really go for these trades. Looks like he will survive with a Slither of Hell. Has to back away though, so that will be a lot more room for Yo-chan to build up on the CS lead.
I think maswerte si Oro na hindi siya na auto-attack ni Yo-chan because one more auto would have popped the Kai'Sa passive, which would have definitely meant first blood for the side of Ablation Esports. And we all know what Kai'Sa can do once she gets rolling. Nakakatakot ang champion na to. When she's ahead, she can just shred your shred her enemies all the way at all stages of the game.
You know, look at Nuna. That is a massive weight built up. Looks like he tried to maximize freezing out, so Sway just gonna have to try to make the most of this wave if ever he can get a high percentage of last hits on this. But looks like he's just gonna move up Nuna, getting that knockup right there. Doesn't really phase Nuna as much though, so looks like top lane will just proceed as smooth.
Ay, mukhang hindi naman tilted si Nuna pagkatapos nung ginawa sa kanya ng Ornn nung laban nila sa MCL.
No.
I mean, this is a different matchup. Now he's playing the Jace, possibly a more comfortable pick on him. If you guys were able to catch last term, Nona had a lot of highlight plays on this champion. Just 1v1 outplays, Baron Seals. Though we didn't exactly see that during the first game. Hopefully this game, the tilt hasn't set in.
Yeah, in all fairness to Nuna though, I mean, as you saw how efficiently he was trying to manage that wave, and I think it's pretty much reflecting right now. Look at that CS difference, it's already more than 10, so I think that's a small bit of a leg up. Definitely, you know, you want to capitalize on every advantage that you get out of this, and I think that's kind of leverage that Nuna's getting right now amidst these, just for these first few minutes of the game.
Yeah, at least this is a better situation than Nona was during his first game of this term. I do think though that this is a manageable deficit for the Ornn because si Ornn, he's gonna be relevant throughout all stages of the game regardless of him being a bit behind. He's still gonna provide the same amount of CC. Makakapag-start pa rin kayo ng fight with his ultimate, so we'll just have to wait and see until Swade gets to group up with the rest of his team.
Meanwhile, let's go ahead and talk about players to look out for here because you've talked quite a bit about Nuna and his proficiency on this Jace just by history. And ito yung sinasabi ko nung simula pa lang, at least we have a history to work with from the previous term. I think for iAcademy, like even the players agreed, like when talking about kung sino yung magiging key player nila dito. And like you mentioned, it's the kind of the comeback of import right here in the mid lane. So let's go ahead and see if this could kind of be a determining factor for iAcademy here. But so far, both sides looking pretty equaled out here. No casualties just yet.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and touch on, you wanted to talk about import, right? Returning to the mid lane. I think nung prep natin, when we were doing the patch rundown, Arctic, I mentioned that Victor could be one of the picks that come out today because of the changes to Lost Chapter. Since Lost Chapter cost 1,300 gold, the first upgrade on Victor's Hex core doesn't look as atrocious. It's cheaper at least by a bit compared to the Lost Chapter. So that may be a way for Victor to come back into the meta. And here we see a Victor pickup to match the push coming from Karma. And I think it's working effectively so far. Naga on this Karma hasn't been able to move around the map as much as he would like because the Victor can match the push that Karma is doing in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's kind of much more of a limit to what reach Naga has across the map so far. But okay, so it's a little bit of a stint right there. But heading into these later parts though, because it's been pretty calm for this early game. So what I'm kind of thinking about here is, if it's going to be this calm, what if once we reach the mid to late game, like who has that upper leverage based on scaling?
Oh, the Kai'Sa comp, definitely. I mean, I think Kai'Sa is just way too strong for competitive league right now, especially when it comes to considering the Baron. I think Kai'Sa as an AD carry, siya yung best AD carry in taking down that Baron, especially with the higher base health. It takes longer now. Kai'Sa just sort of blows over that with her passive. If you have a Ginsu's Rage Blade, you can two-stack over and over, and the Baron just falls down incredibly quickly compared to a Jhin, an AD carry that's possibly the worst at taking Baron in this game.
Man, okay, so I guess with that though, I mean, we got the scales up from Chisto. I guess it all comes down to how this is just a very classic Vulcan thing when he says that even with the, I mean, para sa akin, you could have the textbook, you could have the best strategy, but you can't execute. Then that's kind of where you'd ultimately falter, despite having that even those subtle advantages. Kumbaga, but looks like we'll be heading back into the game. Everything is good to go. Still looking pretty even up. Just a small build-up that leans towards UPD, but no casualties still.
Yeah, and kung nagtataka kayo, bakit mabagal yung pace ng early game na to? I mean, we know that both these teams... Hold that thought.
Yup, that's gonna be Hiyo again. Another knockback coming in from Syzygy. Gonna try to pull back that Alistar, but looks like UPD is gonna back away just fine. Again, another attempt coming in from Hiyo. Not really leading to anything significant still.
Okay, that's a bit frustrating. As a Zac player myself, that can be very frustrating if it happens to you over and over. But going back to the talking point I was trying to discuss with you, Arctic, alam natin na both of these teams are being... Hold that thought again!
Yes, looks like Dav is going to go straight in onto Sway. Nikto teleport coming in from Naga as well. And unfortunately, that's going to be one dead Ornna's first blood. Going to go to Naga of UPD.
Okay, they pulled the trigger on that top lane play. Even though the Ornn burned his flash, UPD still able to pick up the first blood. And I think that's a great start here for known as Jace. Jace as a champion, kailangan niyang lumamang sa laning phase. You need to get him out of lane with the lead so that he can continuously poke with high damage and just be a split push threat, because it's gonna be difficult for just the Ornn to deal with this Jace in a side lane 1v1.
So with that, okay, so a little bit of a hold right there, but take note, as far as who did get that benefit, it did go to Naga. So at least we do have that one up for the top jungler and mid laner of UPD. Still, Yochan and Syzygy though, I mean, hasn't really translated into... okay, Yochan has to be a bit careful there, my friend. Sinigang will manage to escape at well, so... Looks like Yochan will have to back away for now, but of course Sinigang as well gonna take the bulk of the damage in trade.
Yeah, and I think that's a good use of the Kai'Sa ultimate to get the shielding just to survive through the ignite that was dropped onto him. In the end, I do believe that is iAcademy winning out on that trade, as they did force Yochan back to base. That's a good trade taken by the bot lane of iAcademy.
You know, it looks like we still see Hiyo lingering towards this bot side. No attempts really to go for a gank, so it would be a bit dangerous to try to go for that tower dive onto Syzygy.
I mean, Hio has been very, very persistent in trying to go for this bot lane gank, even though he has been denied over and over. Hindi pa rin siya nahihiya na pumasok with elastic slingshot. Just goes over and over. Maybe at some point, hindi ako may headbutt and they can go for something.
What kind of bothers me though is, I mean, with these continuous attempts, like, if this continues to succeed, where in Syzygy, every single attempt coming in from Yo just kind of boops him off, like, is there any other lane that could serve as a secondary alternative? Like, looking at Naga and Nuna in this mid lane and top lane.
Well, one thing they could do is actually bring the Ornn over so that they have more CC options, because the Alistar could only do so much protection for his bot lane. But as a Zac, one thing you could do is you buffer your ultimate so that the moment that you land, you instantly become spell immune. And the Alistar can't knock you back with headbutt, and that way you can bring him back to the rest of your team. So maybe we'll get to see that. I don't know for sure yet.
Yep.
You just have to wait and see.
Let's see if Yo kind of knows to work around with that dynamic on Zac. But meanwhile, looks like just small trade-offs right here between Naga and Hipor. Just continuous small squabbles here. If anything, the only type of action that we did see, like what action that we did manage to see, looks like we will see action though here towards the top side. That's going to be the lockdown onto the way to slither of help. And looks like he tries to go for Nuna at the last minute, but won't be enough, as that Sejuani will ultimately take the kill though.
Yeah, that's nice. I think the Vice would have wanted to give the kill over to Nona to give that Jace more gold to snowball, but still, a kill is a kill for the side of UPD. I think kayang-kaya nilang kunin yung top lane tower very, very soon. There's no teleport. There's no one to defend that. I think the response though from My Academy is to go for the Dragon, which is being started right now by the Zac. This is going to be very slow though. You're gonna need the Jhin and Morgana to at least collapse here, try and take this down faster, because Zac does not deal that much damage to this.
Yeah, just every few other like 200 per second. So okay, so there we go. Oro and Sinigang have finally made their way to help Yo out here, but ooh, okay, looks like Yochan sends over a projectile, but unfortunately Academy gonna take that dragon for themselves. First dragon, Mountain Drake. So not a bad dragon to take off for first.
Yeah, that's not bad, but still you have to take into account na yung Jace ng UPD, it's getting far ahead. It's gonna be a monumental effort for the Ornn to actually deal with the Jace 1v1, regardless of the ninja tapping, regardless of the Bramble Vest on this Ornn. The Jace will still be very hard to deal with 1v1.
Meanwhile, looking at this bot lane here, still Yo just making another come here. Unfortunately, we'll encounter that ward, so I think that's gonna be a mission back here for Yo again. Really persistent, this Zac, I gotta say.
Yeah, I like the proactivity. I like that he keeps going for this bot lane, regardless of him being denied so many times over and over. It's just, it can be frustrating really, Arctic, but yeah, you just have to sort of go for it.
Yeah, in all fairness, I mean, it does create a scenario wherein Yochan and Syzygy continue to kind of keep themselves on their feet, and they almost always have to continue to commit vision just to keep track of when Hyo continues to go for these continuous ganks. And I guess it does translate in Syzygy always needing to be on top of his vision game. So
kung iisipin mo ang Arctic, kahit na hindi necessarily nagsasucceed yung mga gank niya, palagi parang iisipin ng bot lane ng UPD, okay, maybe nandito yung Zac, I might not want to use my combo to go for an engage kasi baka, oy, nandito bigla yung Zac, oh no, we have to get out, but they don't have tools to get out, as it looks like Rift Herald will be going over to the side of UP Diliman.
Yeah, unfortunately, Academy not able to sniff that out, so that's just going to be a clean take for UP Diliman. I'm wondering, might have gone to Davis maybe, just because top lane has already been pushed up by UP Diliman, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah, it did go to the Sejuani now. One lane na hindi pa natin nakita yung maraming action, Arctic. It's this mid lane here.
Actually, yeah.
The Vice is looking for a gank, but since Import has cleanse, it's gonna be hard for the Sejuani to actually lock down this Victor, so I don't think that would be the best option. It can be executed on, but it's gonna be hard to pull off.
But I kind of wondering how this, like how UP Diliman will manage to utilize this Rift Herald. So, because towards top side, I mean, Nuna has pretty much got that covered. But like you mentioned, towards this mid lane, it hasn't been much of action. So, maybe that could be an opportunity for them, just so that we could kind of end that phase right there, which just continues to extend and extend for both Naga and Import.
Here we go.
But meanwhile, it looks like that's going to be the set for IAC. Academy. Teleport is coming in. That's 2 teleports total coming from UPD Diliman. So is 1 from I Academy. Looks like Sinigang as well. So they're on the run for their lives, looking very, very low on health. That will be the curtain call, though. That's going to be the first casualty right there in the form of Sinigang. But Nuna gets the snipe. Unfortunately, passive is still up for that Zac, but they're going to turn straight away for import here. That's all 5 members of UPD Diliman on the rage right there. Swade tries to push back 2 members of UPD Diliman. Naga forced to flash away, and that's going to be Davis trying to go for that Jin, but still numbers are looking quite great for UPD Diliman in what ends in a 2-for-4.
Yeah, I wonder what objective can they take off of this. Meron pa rin silang Rift Herald on their side. They can choose to summon it so that they can take down this bot lane tower even faster. But man, what a turnaround by UPD. That was actually IAC starting off that fight with the flash by the Morgana, but the instant collapse from everyone. The damage that came out of the Jace was absolutely massive, and that allowed UPD to absolutely crush I Academy.
And that's the definitive fight right there. Not only did they get all those kills, let's go and check out this replay though.
Yeah, gaya na sinabi ko, IAC ang nagsimula ng laban na to, but Yochan, he dodges everything. He dodges the binding, he dodges the elastic slingshot. And the moment that those threats were gone, he will not be afraid to go aggressive here. Tignan mo pa yung damage na lalabas kay Nona dito. That is absolutely great from him. And Yochan, with the killer instinct, he's able to clean up the rest of this fight. Now, there's really no world where IAC wins the rest of this team fight because Import is just way out of position. The Jin really doesn't provide anything.
And that's just pretty much the cleanup from there for UPDM. It's such a shame because if you're going to look at the start of that fight, there were a few misses from I Academy which could have otherwise made the fight go a little bit more better towards them. Maybe get at least 1 more off UPD Diliman, but that's kind of how the cookie crumbled here. And finally, we're seeing a goal deficit that's starting to favor UPD Diliman in terms of build-up. And take note, we're almost near the 20-minute mark. Baron is going to be the next point of contesting here for both sides. Let's go ahead and see who could get better control towards that upper side of the map.
Yeah, nandito na tayo sa my 5k goal lead for the side of UPD Oblation Eastern. And actually, they didn't use the Rift Herald to take the bot lane tower, so they still have that Herald to summon if they want to choose. So I think the wisest choice would be to summon it mid lane and try to brute force the tower, but there's a catch.
Yes, that's going to be the catch in the form of a Zac just easily gets decimated by UP Diliman. So that's something that I Academy has to start to be wary of because looks like UP Diliman, with the build-up that they got, they're also starting to establish more offensive control over I Academy's side of the map, which would otherwise limit them. That's going to be the Rift Herald being popped up now. Let's go ahead and see what value they could get out of this. Second turret, definitely. If inhibitor turret is also taken, that's quite the bonus.
Yeah, and alam mo yung gusto ko dun, Arctic? Those were the new players on UPD pairing up to make that pick happen. The decisiveness on both the Alistar and the Sejuani to go for that Zac. They saw the window of opportunity na, oy, nahuli natin to, let's go for this. Shows you just how maybe jitters isn't affecting them anymore since nakapaglaro na sila ng isang game dito sa LVL.
Okay, meanwhile for University of the Philippines Diliman, looks like while the action was happening towards this bottom side, we have Nuna and Naga grouped up together. They're going to try to go for Yo. Import coming in from the back line. Yo looking very low. That's going to be the takedown right there. Import trying to get the hold on to Naga. Won't be enough. Paul the Forge God gets that knock up right there. Still 2 members of UP Diliman up and kicking. Import trying to do what he can. Still looking low himself. Naga is in pursuit of, but that's going to be the takedown. Sinigang going to try to land the Dark Binding. Won't be enough, but that will end in a 1-4-3.
Yeah, that's definitely worth by now. Now his team can take down this mid lane outer turret. The final outer turret standing for I Academy. I don't think kayang i-defend to ng Jin na mag-isa. They need the victor for wave here, but you always have to respect the amount of engage that UPD brings. Sobrang dali nilang magsisimula ng laban. The moment Sejuani goes in or the Alistar, the follow-up will be massive by the rest of UPD.
Meanwhile, UP Diliman, again, this is what I've been talking about here. The control, look at all, it's pretty much shining blue here. Let's go and check out this replay.
Now, this is a fight over the red buff, actually. It was already taken, but he still decided to go for the fight. And he actually fumbles a bit on his let's bounce, but it really doesn't mean much as Nona's just that far ahead where he chunks them for half their HP with an empowered shock blast, and the shielding from the Karma buys enough time for them to trade that 1 for 3.
And I think what's tricky here is that since within the earlier phases of the game, since hindi masyadong naging definitive yung naging laban ni Naga in imports, parang quits lang. There's not really as much, it's just pretty much standard import impact. But in the sense that walang nakapag-lead sa kanila. It pretty much equaled out. Kaya Import just has like the standard build-up, pero it's not yung tipong siya makakapag-carry all the way because of how UPD naman has this lead so far.
Well, I think the fact that the Karma went even with the Victor is just great since the other lanes of UPD actually won. So the Karma there for added utility means that the lanes that are already ahead just become harder to take down if you're I Academy. So they're in a bit of a predicament here. Baron might be a tricky point of contention here. If you're UPD, you need to be very careful setting up around that objective because, like I mentioned, it is harder to take down now, even though they have the Kaisa, which probably, like I mentioned before, the fastest Baron taking AD carry. They're going to decide to push mid lane now, though.
Yep, UPD naman, they're going to allow that wave to push in. Import making good efficiency of clearing that off right off the bat. So UPD naman just waiting for that next wave to come in. Let's see if round 2 will hold anything of value.
Yeah, I like the 1-3-1 setup here. Oh, hold on.
Let's see. Yo, we'll get the double connect, grouping in both Yochan as well as Davis, but looks like things aren't done just yet as members of UPD are slowly dwindling. Numbers are working with I Academy, overwhelming them. Syzygy is trying to back up, trying to recon with Nuna, but it won't be quite enough there as 2 members of UPD Liman bot lane in fact will get decimated.
Yeah, Yochan was not able to flash at all in the middle of that CC chain. Perfectly executed by I Academy. I wonder though kung anong objective ang kaya nilang kunin dito because it looks like since all the waves were pushing in UPD's favor, wala silang mapuntahan na kahit tower man lang, and Baron still very risky because there's the poke coming in from both the Karma and the J. So Ayak get 2 kills but no objectives.
UPD Liman. Looks like I Academy not gonna pursue trying to shove out that lane, just gonna back away. So still though, there is that question.
Whoa.
Oh, okay, I was about to mention this as to whether or not UPD Liman will take that opportunity to go for Baron. Looks like that is what's gonna happen right now. I Academy, they're still way far off from even being able to contest this.
Yeah, this is actually a smart move by Oblation Esports kasi nakikita nila lahat ng lane nagpupush in their favor. I Academy have to defend those minions crashing in from top, mid, and bot lane and gives a free Baron over the UPD. We mentioned the strength of the Kaisa. It shows right there. They take a 23-minute Baron.
Whew. This is going to be massive for University of the Philippines Diliman, but I Academy, I'm wondering how they could even hold off in this case because we've already reached the point where after that Baron take a 10,000 gold lead, tantamounting for UP Diliman. So that's quite the deficit that I Academy has to try to deal with amidst being in a much more defensive, responsive position with UP Diliman on the siege.
Okay, now what UPD would want to do here is set up the 1-3-1 once again, put the Karma in a sideline, put the Jace in the opposite lane, and leave the 3 members to barrel down mid lane. Now the thing for Ayak here, kailangan nila maghanap ng laban. They need to find another catch onto at least Yochan to try and stop the siege from happening. But I think after that first hiccup, which resulted in 2 kills to the bot lane, I don't think UPD are going to give them the opportunity once again.
I Academy, they're trying to make good of this wave pushing it. Let's go ahead and see what UP Diliman has already established as far as these waves. Looks like Nuna has already committed towards the top side, whilst Naga towards the bot lane. So we have a 1-3-1 configuration working out for UP Diliman right now. This is going to be tricky for Academy because they have to choose. If they do match that 1-3-1, I highly doubt that once a fight breaks out, they'd be able to contend with UP Diliman.
Yeah, I Academy are running out of options here, Arctic. It's a very difficult scenario that they have been put in. Look at the Jace in the top lane. Somebody has to deal with that split push. I wonder who it will be, but I think the choice is going for an engage. Nope. Zach will decide not to go for that. Looks like UPD will just move towards the top lane here. Try nilang kunin itong tower na to.
Looks like that is going to be the Baron pushing in. I Academy committing 4 members to deal. Actually, not just 4, all 5 members with UP Diliman looking to break into the base of I Academy.
Every other lane is still pushing in UP Diliman's favor. At some point, somebody from Ayak will have to break off from the defense, and that's the key for UP Diliman. Once they see a member of Ayak in an opposite lane, they should just go and take the tower.
It's all a matter of voting their time here for UP Diliman. Looks like finally they're managed to penetrate the base of I Academy in the form of the top inhibitor turret. Inhibitor will be going down as well. Will UPD Liman force it into a fight though? Looks like they're gonna go for the methodical route and transition into the next turret, whether in mid or bot lane. Let's see what else they can take out of this.
Well, Import needs to be careful walking up like that. There's a lot of engage on the side of UPD Liman, and if you're the only wave clear on your team, you might not want to step up that far. But are we gonna see a catch onto Nona?
Yeah, has Nona overextended his boundaries himself? Yo tries to go in. Looks like Nona gonna be forced to flash away, which will lead him to safety though.
Yeah, and 2 primary engage ultimates used by I Academy right there. That means that UPD have this window where the Call of the Forge God won't be available, where the Curtain Call won't be available. Now they can set up and push, use the remaining duration of this Baron buff to try pa lang kumuha ng more towers since they already broke the base up in the top lane.
Whew. Looks like UPD Liman, after taking the top lane, gonna make their way towards bot lane this time. I kind of like that move just so that in case that after pushing bot, it's gonna be a no-brainer. Just go straight off towards mid with top and bot lane pushing, and that kind of puts I Academy in a situation wherein if those 2 super minion waves are pushing in, it's like the farther the margin wherein they need to separate. And if ever a fight breaks off at either one of those points, then it's not gonna be as efficient for I Academy to be able to respond right away just because of that distance that needs to be traveled in order to rendezvous with your teammates.
Yeah, and alam mo, Arctic, I think tama lang na top lane yung una nabasag ng UPD because that's the lane that has been ahead for them throughout this game. That's the lane that has been working throughout them. I think Nona for this game has redeemed himself from his performance earlier today. So credits to Nona for not tilting after that first game. Okay, UPD, they're gonna set up with the push here once again. They're gonna put Jace in one lane and the other 4 members in a separate one to try and split up I Academy.
Ooh.
Tanong though, kaya bang makahanap ng I Academy ng fight dito? They need to find initiation onto anyone from UPD so they can at least stop the push from happening.
That's actually a good point, Chisto, because yung opportunity kanina, like, they almost could have gotten Nuna. Fortunately for Nuna, he did have the splash up. It's those small opportunities that I Academy needs to look for. But, oh, yo, gonna take a bulk of the damage from the front line. Will manage to pull in Davis, but meanwhile, I Academy, they're gonna have to be on the run because UPD, they don't care about that turret damage. They're gonna go straight to take down members of I Academy. One by one passive will be popped up by that Zac, and that's going to be the first casualty right there. I Academy, they're restraining themselves. UPD Demand going to turn back to that inhibitor turret for the takedown. That's inhibitor turret taken down. They're going to go for that inhibitor as well. It's going to be that mid lane that's up for grabs now that the wave has managed to already push in. Beautiful play by UPD Liman.
Yeah, yung Zac lang yung nahuli ng UPD Liman doon, pero yung Zac lang yung kailangan nilang tanggalin sa mapa para mabasag lahat ng natitirang buildings na meron tong I Academy. Now 5 members strong UPD. The poke coming out from their lineup is immense here. It's gonna take a miracle for I Academy to defend this. I think UPD has this game.
Yes, and there you have it with those 2 Nexus turrets right down. It's just the Nexus at this point. UPD Liman gonna go straight at it. I Academy doing what they can. The Zac is up. Can they try to salvage this? Looks like UPD Liman. Davis going straight for that Nexus. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our winner. Congratulations, UPD Liman Oblation Esports securing their first win for the 2018 spring term.
Yeah, that was a great game played by UPD Liman Oblation Esports, shaking off the first game. Just brushing that off. Kinalimutan nila yun and headed into that next game. I think the moment they got the side lanes ahead, they really just ran away with the rest of the map and it bled everywhere. So, great game by UPD, bouncing back. As for I Academy, we have some questions yet to be answered as they have one more game before we end the day.
You know what's kind of interesting here is that almost majority of the teams, with the exception of AMA University, yung first game nila yung nagpa-fumble, but come yung second opportunity of a game, yun din ang nagiging victory nila. So,
parang kailangan nilang warm up ngayon,
yeah,
Arctic,
yung
kasi
shake off the
alam mo
jitters.
kahit tayo feeling ko nung umaga
actually,
ano pa tayo medyo ganun.
Yeah, yung tipong, it's been a while, guys, in all fairness, na tagal na rin natin di nakita with the viewers, actually.
Tagal na rin
GPL yung last.
Yes.
Yun.
Matagal-tagal din tayo nagpahinga. But yeah, going back to that game, yeah. UPD bouncing back. Just great show of the macro game that we know UPD loves to play. Like, they were ahead, but they didn't necessarily need to kill their opponents to get the pushes to happen. They just let the minions do the work. They just set up everything fine. They got the Baron with the Kaisa, and yeah, I think for the future now, teams would probably know just ban Kaisa if you're not first pick.
Pretty much. And with our last 2 games, hopefully, the next teams that are going to be playing it off know what to do at this point as far as that key ban right there.
Yeah, shout out sa Bolso. Pakiban yung Kaisa kapag di kayo blue side.
Bulacan State University kasi makatapat nila I Academy next. And then the last game will be Malayan College's Laguna ulit versus Bulsu.
Yeah.
So pretty much the same rotation of teams from earlier. So how about for I Academy, Chisto? Because we're going to be seeing them again in this next game. Like, what could have they done differently and you'd kind of like to see as far as adjustment going into their second game of the day?
I'd like to see more aggression from I Academy. I think it was just their jungler, but since he got shut down over and over, I want to see more aggression from the rest of I Academy, because I think some of their players were just playing a bit too safe, a bit too passively, not throwing caution to the wind. More aggressive picks, try and be more proactive, not just Hio on the Zac, because one guy playing aggressive to set up your team isn't enough. I think they just need to try and go for more aggressive plays across the map.
So I guess we'll just have to see, can I Academy make those adjustments, a little bit of a change of pace heading into their next game as they're going to be facing one of the newer teams that is entering the LBL, Bulacan State University. We'll find out in just a bit, guys, but for the meantime, quick break muna tayo. Kami ang yung naging casters, Arctic at Sir Sam. Siyempre kasama ko si Chisto. Ito ang 2018 World Varsity League Spring Term Group Stage. Kita-kits tayo for game number 7. With a set for I Academy. Teleport is coming in. That's 2 teleports total coming from UPD, and so is 1 from I Academy. Looks like Sinigang as well. So they're on the run for their lives, looking very, very low on health. That will be the curtain call, though. That's going to be the first casualty right there in the form of Sinigang. But Nuna gets the snipe. Unfortunately, passive is still up for that Zac, but they're going to turn straight away for import here. That's all 5 members of UPD Diliman on the rage right there. Swade tries to push back 2 members of UPD Diliman. Naga forced to flash away, and that's going to be Davis trying to go for that Jin, but still numbers are looking quite great for UPD Diliman. In what ends, it looks like while the action was happening towards this bottom side, we have Nuna and Naga grouped up together. They're going to try to go for Yo. Import coming in from the back line. Yo looking very low. That's going to be the takedown right there. Import trying to get the hold on to Naga. Won't be enough. Call of the Forge God gets that knock up right there. Still 2 members of UPD Diliman up and kicking. Import trying to do what he can. Still looking low himself. Naga is in pursuit, but that's going to be the takedown. Sinigang going to try to land the dark. We'll get the double connect. Grouping in both Yochan as well as Davis, but looks like things aren't done just yet as members of UPD are slowly dwindling. Numbers are working with I Academy, overwhelming them. Syzygy is trying to back up, trying to recon with Luna, but didn't have the splash up. It's those small opportunities that I Academy needs to look for, but Yo gonna take a bulk of the damage from the front line. Will manage to pull in Davis, but meanwhile I Academy, they're gonna have to be on the run because UPD, they don't give a care about that turret damage. They're gonna go straight to take down members of I Academy. 1 by 1 passive will be popped up by that Zac, and that's going to be the first casualty right there. I Academy, they're restraining themselves. UPD Diliman going to turn back to that inhibitor turret for the takedown. That's inhibitor turret taken down. They're going to go for that inhibitor as well. It's going to be that middle lane that's up for grabs now. The wave has managed to already push.
It's going to take a miracle for I Academy to defend this. I think UPD has this game.
Yes, and there you have it with those 2 Nexus turrets right down. It's just the Nexus at this point. UPD Diliman going to go straight at it. I Academy doing what they can. The Zac is up. Can they try to salvage this? Looks like UPD Diliman. Davis going straight for that Nexus. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our winner. Congratulations, UPD Diliman Oblation Esports securing their first win for the 2018 Spring